3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and this is time for the In and Out Weekly Comics Pull List. Episode 24 for June 5th. That's a 5 there. Looks like a 6 or an 8. My writing is atrocious. It's really hard to write on a box, too, and especially I'm doing it fast. So, 24 episodes of the Pull List show. I really want to rename this. You guys, if you want to help me brainstorm a name for a weekly 20 to 30 minute-ish show that I do in conjunction with the Pull List, kind of what I'm already doing a little bit, but a little bit more organized, just or focused, doing the Pull List and also talking about comics. I'm trying to think of a name, something. I'm sure YouTube is way more creative than I am. I want to do away with just the Pull List because it's really more. And it's originally I named it In and Out Pull List because it's like, oh, I'm getting a burger every week, and In and Out means like, here's my pull list. You get in, you get out. You know, it's like it's meant to be like a 5 or 10 minute video, and I did it a couple times, and I was proud of myself for doing it, but I was never satisfied because I really wanted to have somewhere where I could talk. I want to talk about comics, and I suppose I could do 2 separate videos. I could do a true In and Out Pull List video where I just show a burger, show some comics, 5-10 minutes, boom, you're gone. Then do a separate video, but I think the reason I haven't done that is because I think the draw for each video would be less. Like, I think no one's really interested in just watching some dude say, here's the comics I bought, and just the content of me just talking about shit in comics without, I think together they like benefit each other. So that's kind of why I want to combine it. 20 to 30-ish minutes, just talking comics and things like that. If you can help me think of a new name, way to reformat the show, that'd be great. So, on with things. Today, as always, Stan the man joins us. Hey Stan, how you doing? Good to see you. What are you drinking? Oh, drinking RC Cola today. Good job, man. You got some good taste, Stan. He always has to have soda to wash his in and out down. I completely understand. Last week, Marvel really, really surprised me by only having one #1 new issue. What a shocker. Imagine that, only having one #1 new issue. It used to be they'd have like 3-4 new #1s a year at most. I was like, wow, you had 4 new comics in a year? Now it's like, you don't have 4 comics in a week? What's going on, Marvel? So they realized that they had one news, they had to step up their game, so they did. So this week, they brought Black Cat #1 with a total of 36 variant covers. That's 37 comics. Or, if you want to get them all, 37. This is retarded. It's Black Cat. For God's sake. I know most of the covers are our boy, Sean, I'm not even, Campbell. I'm like totally just like, oh my God, I'm blinking on his name. Yes, and he does beautiful covers, and they're sexy, it's perfect for Black Cat. I get that. But does really anyone want a Black Cat comic? Really? I think Catwoman is, thanks dogs. Hey, I'm doing a video. Thanks. I think Black Cat is not as popular as Catwoman, right? I think she's kind of Marvel's cheapy version of Catwoman. And Catwoman's got a comic, and that doesn't even really sell well. Like, why? This is going to go for 6 issues, and then people are going to get sick of it. Unless Marvel somehow puts a bunch of talent behind it, which I don't know. I just don't. This seems like a cash grab to me. That's bullshit. I get some people are like, look at these sexy covers, and I saw a couple covers, and I was like, ooh, those are beautiful. But why support this shit? Why? Marvel is contributing to the destruction of the industry. They're predators towards LCSs. They're predators towards you. Comics are way unhealthy because of Marvel. And as long as we keep giving them money to support this, we're part of the problem. We have no room to complain. We're supporting this. This is not 36 very... I remember when when X-Men had, there was 4 covers, 4-panel cover, then the full cover. So it was 5 total covers for X-Men #1, Jim Lee's X-Men #1. And I remember then people flipping their lid, being like, I gotta buy 5 effing comics? Like 5? Little would they know we'd have comics today with 30 up to over. I've seen, was it the wedding issue had over 100 variants for Batman? Stupid. $4.99, of course. You get that extra price of that number 1. Then Star Wars: Age of Rebellion. That reminds me, I think last week was the only week this year where that Marvel didn't have a Star Wars number 1, because it only had one number 1 last week, and it was the X-Men Grand Design. Wow. And then Incredible Hulk Last Call number 1, $4.99. Now, I was considering picking this up because it's Peter David, who is a legendary Hulk writer, and Dale Keown, who is a legendary Hulk artist. Oh my gosh. Dale Keown's old Hulk run is phenomenal. And then I found out this is just a simple one-shot. So it's a simple cash grab book. So it's not going to have any like great story development, right? There's only so much story you can develop in one issue. And I flipped through it, and I was like, is this the same Dale Keown that everyone that I remember? Or is this a new guy of same name? Like, it does not. It looks like Dale Keown hasn't drawn comics in 20 years and was like, oh, let's pick this shit back up. It does not look like classic Dale Keown. You know, the guy that gave us Pitt. The guy is probably one of the best Hulk artists of all time. I was like, what is this? I was like, no, $5. Marvel, what am I thinking? I like closed the book and I was like, oh, I don't even know why I'm getting tempted. Sorry for the cough there. I really tried to suppress it. Oh well. Moving on. News. Okay. So I thought I would talk, but I always forget about what I want to talk about, so I just write it down. Vertigo being canceled. So our boy here, I Love Comics, aka Englantine, he's got a YouTube channel, did a video today that I happened to cross. DC to cancel Vertigo Comics. It looks like Vertigo is going way of the ghost. Now, I'm not going to talk too much on this. If you want to know more of the details, I will refer you over to Englantine's channel. Give his channel a hit. And I figured it was really, I don't really want to be like a news channel like a lot of these guys are. I do want to talk about the news. So I thought, I was like, maybe a good way to do that is to talk a little bit about it, but then like point to someone I think is doing a good job covering it, so that people who watch my channel that want more info can go there, and people who watch my channel that are like, I don't really want to come to your channel and watch news about the comic industry and about the culture war and all this shit, they don't really have to deal with it. But if you are interested, DC's canceling, it looks like it. It doesn't seem 100% confirmed, but it looks... Anyways, watch his channel for all the information. But man, that's a big, big deal. Vertigo has been going on for like 30 years. It's the very first adult comic line, comics written strictly for adults. It's made major changes to the industry. I mean, this is what brought us Sandman. You got Hellblazer, Priest, Fables. So many big lines came out of this. And now it's being canceled. Why? Because those new editors drove this shit into the ground by hiring, what's her name, Zoe Quinn for Goddess Mode, hiring that sexual predator kid, Eric Esquivel, to write his racist Border Town book. You hire SJWs to run your shit, and they run it like shit. Get woke, go broke. Vertigo is a big example. So this is what I'm telling you. They're like, oh, this is what comics are. Comics are great. No, they're not. This is a perfect example. Now, DC is a better overall comic line than Marvel, but their Vertigo line is dog shit. Now, I was okay with it personally as a consumer because I was like, great. You want to throw all your trash into one section of your company where I can avoid? I, as a consumer, am happy. I'll just avoid Vertigo Comics. But I'm not happy for Vertigo fans. And this is a big, big sign for, just as a comic industry, fans aren't wanting this shit, this schlock it's garbage, and it doesn't sell. And DC was propping it up. Oh, these books sell at like 5,000. These books sell worse than the lowest Marvel titles. I'm talking like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, Squirrel Girl. These books sell worse than that. They're terrible. But of course, you will go out there and you go on social media. People will tell you about, oh, these are beloved books, and you just don't know. You're a bigot. No, they're not. Because the people who want these books are people who don't buy comics. The people who want these books, just like the idea of these books, SJWs don't buy comics. That's why SJW comics don't sell. Moving on. All right, so we got, Mark Waid's in the news. What could Mark Waid be in the news about? Well, apparently there was this Diamond conference thing, like a retailer summit, and Mark Waid was there as a presenter for both Marvel and for Humanoids. Don't understand how that works, but hey, oops, sorry to drop my pen. And this has kind of been a big deal in the sense that a lot of YouTubers have been covering it. So if you already know about this, I'm sorry, I'm bringing up old news, but this is kind of the news of the week. I thought I'd bring this up, and I'd point out, because I listened to a couple different videos on this, and I feel like Zack's video gets most to the heart of the matter. I think other people reporting have skewed things. I'm not 100% sure. This is just my feeling of watching his video. I feel his is a little bit more not trying to be hyperbolic, not trying to sensationalize the problem. I think Zack does a good job trying to keep it grounded. He actually gives Mark Waid a couple fair shakes. And considering that Zack is actually in a lawsuit with Mark Waid, he's got no bias to do that. So I really feel like this is kind of your most honest account. And, having a lawsuit with Mark Waid and personal dealings, Zack has some personal dealings with Mark Waid. Anyways, if you're interested in this whole story of what happened, apparently it has to do with a retailer at the retailer summit. And he approached Mark Waid, and Mark Waid, you're not wanted here. We don't want your business. And the guy's like, look, I'm here to check out your product. Story's like, and he like threw or slid a free comic book day book at him, and it like hit him in the chest or something. Something normally kind of nominal, but the fact that it's Mark Waid's kind of blows it up a proportion. And also the fact that, apparently Mark Waid was caught calling the guy a garbage human to other people at Humanoids. And Zack brings up a good point about, like, who's Mark Waid to tell a retailer that Humanoids doesn't want his business? Mark Waid doesn't own Humanoids. So Zack's got a lot of good commentary on this, in my opinion, if you're interested in this story. And then finally, Last Night on Earth flies over our boy's head. What? So, while I was just busy praising Zack for this commentary on this other issue, he's also done a review of probably one of the biggest comics of the year, and a book that I praised through the moon. To the moon? How's that work? To the moon? I loved it. Zack, holy crap, did he miss the mark. But to be fair, I've posted 2 reviews of this book. I did a shorter form, non-spoiler, and then I did a long-winded, babbling, how I am with it, a review that spoils the whole book. So you can get my thoughts. But it's fair. If you want someone who has a complete opposite thoughts of me, just like a counterpoint, here you go. Our boy Zack, he must know something. He's got 13,000 views on this video. He's got 100,000 subscribers. But that doesn't mean he knows more about comics than me. And boy, did he miss the mark on this one, in my opinion. But hey, maybe you'll side with him. Another interesting thing about this video, after you're done watching it, if you do watch it, scroll through the comments and look at all the zombies that just completely go off of Zack's word. Like, oh, I didn't read the comic, but whatever you say, Zack, it's a disappointment. Like, they just totally suck it in. If Zack pronounces this as a bad comic, not everyone, but so many people just walking away with this idea of like, yeah. And that's really scary. This groupthink mentality. Please don't be like that. I mean, I know I have a channel and I'm trying to persuade your thoughts through my channel, but I don't want you to just ever take what I say and just be like, oh yeah, Ash said this. Like, I want to engage your your critical thinking skills. I want to give you something to consider, not something to just walk away and parrot. So I think Batman Last Night on Earth is a fantastic book. I say why in my review. I hope you agree with me, but if you don't, that's totally fine. I just try to persuade you, and I'll either succeed or fail. And maybe you can persuade me if you have a differing opinion. But that's the news. Time to get into this burger, as we always do. Oh, let's see. Oh. It's a good thing they put this wax paper on it. Oh, look at that. Look. Eric Breen, suck it. No, I'm just kidding, buddy. I wish I could share a burger with you. Eric Breen, good friend of the channel, always providing me some expert knowledge of comic history that I've missed, especially when it comes to DC, which I stayed away from when I was in my big comic book days. Yeah, so I like to tease him. And other friends of the channel, shout out Dave Asanowicz, Tehalim, Sergeant Bats, Comic Quirks. They all have channels, except for, they all have channels. Go check them out. If you don't know their channels, say something in chat or whatever. I'll point them out. You probably know them. They're regulars. I'm going to eat this burger, and I'm going to come right back. What do you say, Stan? I knew you'd agree. All right. So Stan and I just finished lunch, watched an episode of Comic Book Palace. If you haven't ever watched that, it's on YouTube. It's a show, Comic Book Palace, 3 words. It's a sort of like reality show, takes place in a comic book shop. It's just open camera. It's hard to describe. It's really raw, but it's really entertaining. And this is War of the Realms. I always have to remind myself every week that War of the Realms is out to not buy it. But damn, I love this art. Art Adams is my favorite artist, and I love the Thor mythology in general, and I also love it in Marvel. And this is something that would be right up my alley, but I know it sucks, and I'm not going to support it. But ding, ding, ding. Art Adams. All right. Spoiler alert. Here's my books. Here's my receipts. Got approved to the SJWs. You know, they always accuse me that I don't actually buy comics. You know, of course. I never. Look, I even pay with cash. Real cash. They always accuse me. I don't read comics. I project all over. No, you guys don't buy comics, and so you think other people don't as well. All right. Damn, coughs. Had to suppress that. Thankfully, I have a pause button. Zack learned how to use the pause button. Anyways, just messing. Super Sons, number 11. Yeah, Super Sons. It's kind of exciting. Tomasi writes something else besides Detective Comics, folks. But this has no punch to it because it's a miniseries that's a prequel to the Super Sons that you canceled in order to bring Bendis over. You didn't cancel for low sales. It was one of the best-selling titles at DC. They canceled it so they could bring Bendis over, so that Bendis could fuck up Jonathan Kent, one of the most beloved new creations of DC in decades. I don't want to say that I'm mad. I'm really just disappointed. And so they threw a bone to fans, like, oh, here, have this. But this is just like a backhanded, like, oh, have this shitty fucking thing for a while, and now it's got one more issue, and it's over. And then Jonathan Kent's forever dead and ruined by Bendis. Thanks, Bendis. Anyways, 12 issues of that to the, 18 issues of the original series. That's 30 issues. It's definitely worth getting. I ended up collecting the whole Super Sons run. I recommend it, despite the things I just said. And here we have Justice League 25. Can you believe it's on issue 25 already? Good Lord, it feels like this just came out. I was not a Justice League fan. Scott Snyder made me a Justice League fan. I'm behind on my books. I haven't caught up to these, but where I'm at, I'm loving it. And I'm just a big fan of Scott Snyder now. I like what he does. I recognize he's not the best individual. Like, he doesn't write the best books. If you were to like, oh, who writes all the greatest stories? Scott Snyder's not going to be on that list, except maybe Last Night on Earth might change things. But he's very consistently solid, and he's got really great, I don't know if I want to say great, he's got really creative ideas. And I really appreciate that, because in comics, it can be very easy to play it safe all the time, because you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to piss off the fans, because fans, especially DC fans, hate change. Marvel fans are actually really cool with it. Marvel fans are like, oh, what, you're totally changing Venom into something completely different? Awesome. Let's buy the shit out of it. We love it. Oh, you're taking Hulk and you're completely changing him to be something different and new? Oh, we love it. But DC fans are like, what? You shot Nightwing in the head and he lost his memory? F you. I'm quitting DC. It's like, dude, he just has amnesia. I'm sure he'll get his memory back. So, like, DC fans are way uptight about their characters. Sometimes for good reason. The Wally West thing is bullshit. Heroes in Crisis was bullshit. But anyways, I really appreciate Scott taking the time to go out of the box, do creative ideas. That's needed. I don't like comics that just regurgitate the same safe stories where the characters never really change, they never grow. They can only grow so much, I believe, anyway, because comics are a static medium. And this is a problem that modern comics tend to have, I think, is that, like, especially in Marvel, it's like, we want to have these characters all grow and stuff. It's like, look, the characters haven't aged. In comic world, time moves extremely slowly, right? Like, you can only have so much happen in their lives when it's only been, like, in real world, it's 80 years for Batman. But in comic world, Batman's been around for 5 years, 10 years at most. Like, actually, DC's sort of established that Batman's been around for about 20 years now with the new Detective Comics story, because they have a girl. The Arkham Knight was born when he was Batman, and she's like now 20 or almost 20. So anyways, I like Scott Snyder. So anyways, Grant Morrison is someone that Scott Snyder is often compared to as a wannabe Grant Morrison. I can kind of see why people make that, because they both come off as very like highbrow concept, or like high concept, not highbrow, high concept things. They both want to take things in radical new directions, and so I can see that comparison. But I honestly think that's where it stops. And Grant Morrison feels a little bit more pretentious, if that's not pretentious, like I don't know, like it's trying to be bigger than it is. And I think Scott's writing is a little bit more humble. Either way, I like Scott, and I'm not usually a big fan of Grant Morrison, but I told myself I was going to collect Green Lantern, and they canceled both the Green Lantern books that I followed, so I just picked this one up. And hopefully, I haven't read them. Hopefully they're good. Speaking of hopefully they're good, Batman 72, this muddled cover. I get all the alternate floor covers of DC just for consistency's sake, and sometimes it kicks me in the butt. I'd rather just be one cover. Don't give me a choice. Do the best cover you can. Put the trade dress. Let's be done with it. Quit trying to milk fans for all this extra money. Needless to say, I'm behind on Batman, way behind on Batman, and everyone's pissed off. And from what I've seen from reviews and different things and talking to people, other fans and YouTubers and stuff, this sounds like good reason. Some of the scenes I've seen from Batman, I'm like, what are they doing? I'm scared to read the book. Coincidentally enough, it's the only Batman book that sucks. Even this one, which has IDW on the cover, which is usually a clear sign of this book sucks, or I don't want. That's what IDW stands for. Not really, but it should. I don't want. That's when I see a comic and I see IDW on it, it's like, I don't want this book. if it has Marvel IDW, which is all the Marvel, because IDW prints Marvel. In case you didn't know, Marvel outsources some of their comics to IDW. Spider-Man, Avengers. I think there's a Captain Marvel book. I think they have like 4 different books now that they're doing. It's growing all the time. I especially don't want it. I get this because I love Turtles. I love Batman. Sort of got talked into it. These alt covers by Kevin Eastman are just beautiful to me. I love Kevin Eastman's art. I know it's like amateurish. It comes off kind of like, well, I guess amateurish, but it has that sort of appeal to me. I like that look. I don't want it to be clean and, professional like these other guys. And two characters I just love. And they managed, I did a review on issue 1, this is issue 2. They managed to make a comic book work. I thought they couldn't. I was like, it's kind of a hokey premise, but I gave it a shot just because of my love. And I'm glad that I did, because not only did they make the premise work for me, but they made a really fun comic. This is what comics, for the most part, should be. There's always going to be room for your deep, sophisticated, plot lines with, super metaphors and all that stuff. You're also going to be room for your commentary, for your highbrow entertainment. You get your Watchmens and things like that. Those are rooms. They should be the exception, not the norm. Deconstruction, that should be the exception, not the norm. This should be the norm. Fun adventures with super characters, with great stories, heroism, beating bad guys, that sort of thing. Speaking of heroism, a hero to me is Peter Simeti, the head of Alternate Comics. And this is Blood Realm Volume 2, The Shadow Kingdom. I have not read issue 1 yet. I don't know why. I loved issues 1 through 3. I did reviews on all 3 of them. You can go back on my channel and see them. I fell in love with this comic. It's not really a comic. It is a comic, but not a comic. It's almost like a storybook. It's told in that fashion. If you've ever picked up a children's storybook that's illustrated, it's got big pictures and stuff, and then words to accompany it. But it's not. That's what this book is like, and it's fantastical. If that's the right word. It's a high fantasy, Lord of the Rings-ish type dark fairy tale. If you like that sort of thing, watch my review. I think my reviews do it justice. I'm just gonna binge one because it's another 3-issue miniseries. I'm just gonna binge them. They're $1.50. Buy them. You can't lose anything. $1.50. $1.50. In case I didn't hammer that home, they're $1.50. Pretty much every alternate comic that comes out, you can pretty much just say I'm gonna buy because they're $1.50. Terry Mayo, just as a point of trivia, I haven't met him, but apparently he shops at the same comic book store I do, and that's the only reason my comic book store carries this. There's only 2 alternate books that they carry. This one and the Wednesday. It came out on a Wednesday anthology, but they carry this book only because Terry Mayo shops at the store. I'm like, you guys need to carry alternate books. They're $1.50. People will buy them. All you gotta do is promote them, put them up by the register, and say, hey, look, try a $1.50 comic. What do you got to lose? I have not been disappointed with any alternate comics. I made the mistake a long time ago of not picking the books up because I was like, if they're $1.50, they must be trash. They're not. It's surprising. The people that do these books put their heart and soul into these books. They do it for the love of comics. These aren't people that are out there on Indiegogo trying to sell you $35 books. These are people probably making pennies selling you comics on newsprint, but they're good. Now, are they fantastic? No, I'm not going to try to tell you this is like as good as like Last Night on Earth. It's not, but it's not $5.99, right? For $1.50, these books are outstanding. For $3.99, these books would be probably not good enough. Do you see what I'm saying? You're getting hell of a bang for your buck. These aren't trash. It's not like, well, it's trash, but it's $1.50. It's like, no, these are pretty good, and they're $1.50. Unlike Marvel Comics, which are, this one's pretty good, but it's $3.99, $4.99. Anyways, I've hammered on that. Support Alterna. Peter Smitty's one of the best guys in comics. I got Fallen World. I told them I would buy this book if they could give me the pre-order editions, which they have so far. So I got number 2. It's Dan Abnett. I like Dan Abnett. I like Rye. I like the concept. So sure. I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit because I'm like, I don't really want to support Valiant anymore. And it really sucks because it's my attitude has switched 180 degrees in just a very, very short time because Valiant has turned on a dime. But this is the kind of book that I want them to do. So I follow my mantra: support publishers doing books you like. Absolutely hold back your money for books that you don't like. That's the only way they're ever going to learn what to publish well. If you just pull your money entirely, then they don't see the difference, right? If everyone just says, I don't like these other books, so I'm not going to buy this, all Valiant sees is a loss across the board. They can't attribute to anything. If they see, oh, Fallen World did really good, and, Bloodshot was doing good before that, Nexo was doing good before that, and then we'll launch this Punk Mamba thing, and no one bought it. They can put 2 and 2 together. Hopefully. Or maybe I'm wrong. And finally, last but not least, certainly, Birthright by Joshua Williamson, who writes Flash, and he also writes the upcoming Batman and Superman title that's coming out in like a month or 2. This is a phenomenal book. When I was doing the Ash and Bats show with Sergeant Bats, we did a feature. One of the episodes, I don't remember the number, I'm sorry, but you can easily go back and look. The Birthright episode we did. I covered the whole first trade on this. It knocked my socks off so much that I went and collected this entire series up to 35. I went and bought the whole thing. I loved this so much. But the book was on hiatus, so it hasn't had a new issue in several months. So it's finally coming off of hiatus, and now I've got some catching up to do. Oh, but if you like fantasy and you're sort of typical fairy tale chosen one type fantasy, big evil monster, prophesized chosen one to defeat him, right? You go, those kind of stories are interesting to me, and you want something that like kind of turns it on its head, puts a big twist in it, says, okay, we're going to tell that kind of story, but we're going to spin everything around and make it something you haven't seen before. This is that book. It's got a charming nature to it, but it's also got some deep, broken-hearted moments and some dark issues that it deals with the family structure and things. I can't describe it. If you watch that episode, and you it's a long stream, but if you want to skip through and just find the review of the book, or hell, just go get the first trade. I'm telling you, it is phenomenal. And the first trade is a non-type committal thing. Like you can read that trade and stop and be like, I had a good story. Or, if you like it, it leaves room to open up for further stuff. And Josh Williamson is a pro. Like I said, I can't say enough. I'm a big superhero guy. I want my DC or Marvel. I like my shared universe superhero stuff. But I like to make room for a few alternate type things. So I got my fantasy book and Birthright. I also buy Oblivion Song to get my sci-fi fix. And then, I buy my superhero stuff. And then, of course, I support Alterna because 2 Alterna comics, and it's still less than any of these other books. Like, these 2 together. These are like nothing. This is me supporting what comics should be. All comics should be Alterna. Anyways, that's it for this. It's been a long episode. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me what you think about my pull list. Tell me about me saying way too much. Stan, you gotta move over, buddy. You're taking up too much room. What do you think you are, like the king of comics or something? Oh yeah, I guess you are. Sorry, bud. I didn't mean to disrespect you. Just wanna make room for comics. You understand, buddy. You love comics too. So here's everything. What's gonna be the best? I'm thinking the best is gonna be Birthright. But what's gonna be the worst? Batman. Tom King's Batman. That's my picks. What are your picks? What am I missing? What should I yank? What am I a fool to be buying? What makes you shake your head when you see it and go, oh my gosh, Ash, you're giving money to that? Let me know. I'll be reading the comments as always. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to put down ideas for show concepts and names. And I will see you next time. Until then, this is Stan Lee. And we're out of here.